Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I'm going to tell you a few seconds over here. We're with our friend Louie Vazquez, CPA. We talk about the PPP loan. Also going to have on the line Jennifer Kucera, the VP of Operations of For Living. Hey Jen. Okay, so let's pause the music for a minute over here. So while we're going to wait for the CPA to jump on the call, Louie Vazquez. First of all, thanks everybody for joining the call live on KW Shares. Good to see you. Hello everybody. Hello. Jen, do you want to open up with some some recent updates, whatever you have, whatever you know from what we've seen out there?
So regarding the PPP loans?
Yes.
So right now, what we have heard as of last week is we have basically $100 billion still available for PPP funding. And so once we found this out, we thought it'd be great to update everybody on currently what's happening out there. And once this $100 billion is actually, exhausted, they are looking for a third round of funding as well. So with that, the reason why we wanted to have this class is we wanted to ask Louie and his team to help us because they have been very successful in funding PPP loans in the amount of almost over $650K for their clients. So we thought this, if you have not received PPP funds at this point in time, now would be a great time to apply, even though, hey Louie, even though people might have thought that they have missed their chance. So definitely, if you haven't, this is the time to go ahead and start applying, and Louie is going to be able to walk us through that process and tell us what we need to do in order to help receive those funds currently.
Perfect. Good timing. Louie, how are you? Oh, wait, we cannot hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
You guys hear me now?
We can hear, yes, loud and clear. We can see you and hear you. Welcome, Louie.
Hey guys, thanks. I just jumped off another one. I need to share my screen. I have a PDF. Let me see if I figure this out real fast.
Sure. So at the top of the screen of the blue jeans, you're gonna click on the share screen, and then you can share your whatever you choose as long as it's open on your side. And thank you for making time, Louie. I know that you jump in from one session to another. You're helping a lot of people, both I think with the process, and of course you're educating a lot of people out there how what's happening. So thank you for doing this for us too.
My pleasure. We got this. We have the application process down very, very well. So it's just a matter of finding a place that will accept it.
Yes, exactly. And Jen, I mean, various businesses, right? They're applying for what? Just multiple banks, right? That was part of the challenge too.
Yeah, the success that I found in the different offices, if you're not going through a bank, is Lendio, Blue Vine, those types that have been quick to respond to us. So we've actually had a few that we've done through Lendio that instantly they are, I would say it's about 4 or 5 days, and we've gotten results back.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty fast. Good stuff. Louie, are you able to transfer the your presentation?
So I'm on my tablet, and my tablet is saying that I can't access Google Drive, so I'm trying to apply for my phone right now, real fast.
Cool. Okay. Jen, what else? I mean, we know that a few agents were able to get those loans recently, right?
Yes.
Was that mostly due to relationship with the banks, or some of them just also applied in a way that is
Uh,
just yeah.
I've heard from both. So a lot of them were from banks and relationships, and then again, some of them from these ones like Bluevine. So it's been a variety.
Okay. Okay. Um, Louis, I see you twice, I think, or at least I did. I guess you're logging in from the other device. Okay, we're gonna give Louis a minute until he's gonna be able to upload his presentation.
One other item
Um,
that I got questions on was the EIDL, which was the 10K grant. And so originally they had refunded that program, and people were still able to get funding from that, the grant. But as of now, that's just agriculture. So that actually
mm,
just changed.
okay. Yeah, they keep changing everything, as it seems. Okay, perfect. Now we can see your screen. I believe,
Perfect.
yeah,
Can you hear me too, Manny?
yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's just dive right into it and figuring out how to apply, how to qualify, how to calculate how much you would potentially qualify for. Sorry about that. And there's two situations. You have to look at how you're structured. Are you a solo agent, contractor, or a regular LLC, or do you have a legal entity in place? That all comes into play. So let's assume that you're a solo agent, you're a contractor, and you have a regular LLC. It's all going to be dependent off of your net income from 2019. So here's an example here. Let's say someone had total income for the year of 2019 of $75,000. You can get your total income from your gross commission report or your 1099s. You got to figure that number out, total income. And then I have an example here of typical expenses for someone within the real estate industry. So these are just typical expenses: cell phone, advertising, transaction coordinator, open house, staging. Go through your expenses. You need to put together some sort of P&L. This is all you need. Something like this right here where it's just income, expenses. I put this all into Excel and printed it to PDF. This is all you need. It doesn't need to be something that's formal through QuickBooks. You need to identify what you're looking for is this net taxable profit. What did you profit after expenses in 2019 from your business of being in real estate? You take that net taxable profit number, that 49,025, and you divide it by 12. So 49,025 divided by 12 is a monthly average take-home pay of $4,085 per month. And then you take that 4,085 and you multiply it by 2.5 or 250%, and you get what you would qualify for your PPP loan of $10,214. So that's essentially how it works. What was your net profit of 2019? Get that number, divide it by 12. That's your monthly average take home. And then you multiply it by 2.5 or 250%, and you would qualify for a potential forgivable Paycheck Protection Program, PPP loan package of 10 grand. A good chunk of change, I'm sure we all can agree. And then the other situation would be if you operate through an S corporation, C corporation, or an entity that's taxed as an S corporation or a C corporation. So you need to look at your 2019 payroll. Did you pay yourself through payroll? So that's the question. Did you pay yourself through payroll? If you did not pay yourself through payroll, that's fine. That means that very likely you saved a bunch of money in payroll taxes that otherwise you would have owed. So you've gotten a tax benefit by operating that way. You've saved a ton in taxes. But if you have a ton of net income from your S corporation, some sort of salary should have been paid to yourself if that happened. Yeah, it's depending on your situation. Look at your payroll. How much did you have in 2019 payroll, including paying yourself and paying anyone that might be on your team or on staff? Okay, so let's assume I had $55,000 of 2019 payroll. I take that $55,000, I divide it by 12. That gives you your average monthly payroll cost. That's $4,583. And then off that $4,583, you multiply that by 2.5 or 250%, and you would qualify for a PPP loan package of $11,458. So that's the calculation. Understand, though, that independent contractors are not included through payroll. Okay, you can't include that into your payroll calculation. And you may want to look, you just need to look at your situation. How much did I pay myself through payroll? For those people who take high payroll salaries, first you want to get with an accountant and figure out why you're paying yourself such a high salary. But if you're paying yourself a higher salary, look to see what potentially paying yourself more in salary would do, because very likely if you could amend your payroll, and we've done this quite a few times already, if you increased your payroll and you're already paying yourself a high salary, you would qualify for potentially more money. So that's the calculation for the PPP loan. The other thing that's available that's not getting a whole lot of attention, but it's pretty cool, it's an opportunity to get a couple grand, is a sick leave credit that's also available. So there's a sick leave credit that you can take. And again, it's all depending on how you're structured. So assuming that you're a solo agent, a contractor, or you have a regular LLC, you need to figure out, again, your net taxable profit for 2019. So on this net taxable profit here, of total income of $75,000, after expenses, I'm at net taxable profit of $49,025. I take that $49,025 and I'm going to divide that by 260. So 260, how they calculated that is there's 52 weeks in a year and there's 5 days per week. So that's where they came up with 260. So I would take that $49,025 of total net profit for the year of 2019, and I would divide that by 260. And that would give me my average daily take-home pay of $189 a day on average. And I get up to 10 days of a paid sick leave tax credit that I can take. So in this situation, I would get just shy of $2,000 as a tax credit for essentially staying at home. $1,890. Now, this is something that is available. They don't have a way to claim it just yet. It's just available for people. You have the whole year to claim this up until 12/31/2020. And very likely how you're going to claim this is going to be on your 2020 tax return that you're going to file by 4/15/2021. So make sure when it comes time to file your taxes at the end of the year, and your accountant didn't bring up the sick leave credit, make sure you bring this up with them, because you might leave a couple grand on the table. And then for those of you with S corporations, C corporations, or basically a legal entity that's structured as a corporation, you get up to $5,000, including yourself, per employee for up to 10 days of paid sick leave. So again, you need to look at how much you're paying your people, paying yourself, and you would be able to take a credit up to $5,000, up to $500 per day, which is a good chunk of change. And this is going to be able to get claimed as soon as your second quarter payroll tax return, if you're filing a quarterly payroll tax return. And you'll have up to 1/31/2021 to claim this. So sick leave credits, there's thousands of dollars here, but this isn't, for whatever reason, people are completely focused on the PPP loan, which is understandable because it's a lot of money, but there is thousands of dollars through this really cool sick leave credit the government is giving everybody. So that's the gist of what's available right now, and figuring out how to qualify for what's available. Happy to answer any questions. What are people asking you guys? I heard some talk about the EIDL loan. That's something that's a good thing. I have the answer for that if you want to talk about that.
Sure. So let me see. There are a few questions that people throw in, and whoever's watching, if Louie is going too fast for you, if whatever you picked from it, you can always go back and look at the recordings. So don't be overwhelmed. But he's pretty much just gave you the sauce, the bottom line, the gist of it, the thing that you should focus on right now. One of the question is, what are the required paperwork? So how do you go? Does every institute currently have the same paperwork, or is it varied by where you apply for?
So for most banks, so it's going to be bank by bank, right? Bank by bank. But for most banks, if you're a solo agent, you don't have a legal entity in place, they're really just asking for some sort of P&L, which is going to be essentially what I just showed you guys, some sort of PDF, some sort of Excel spreadsheet at the very least. That's what they're going to ask for. Some banks are starting, just because we're getting closer to the 7/15 deadline, some banks are asking for tax returns, not filed tax returns, but can your accountant prepare a tax return so that we can go off of that? So they're looking at different lines on a 2019 draft tax return. It doesn't necessarily have to be filed. That is happening now with some banks, but for most banks, it's just asking for some sort of P&L, which is minimal documentation. And then if you have a legal entity and you're looking to go off of the payroll, very likely because you have employees, then it's pretty easy to get your payroll tax returns and your W-2s just give to the bank. So it's all done through the bank, and each bank is going to have their different document requests. But for the most part, they're not asking a whole lot. It's pretty straightforward. I applied through Bank of America. I think the application process in total time, I don't think it took more than 15 minutes.
Wow. Okay. By the way, is there any kind of template Excel sheet for P&L that people can find, or you can share just a basic concept of something, or what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, I would look at that. I would just kind of rewind and go back to that P&L that I just showed. Those are the typical expenses that realtors are taking based off of our essentially specialization in the industry. So I would look at that. What I would really do, though, if I'm trying to qualify for this loan, I would be for 2019, I would be a little bit more on the conservative side of taking expenses, because the higher the net income you show, the more you're going to qualify for it. So very likely you might pay a little bit more in tax in 2019 because you're conservative on your expenses. You're not showing as much in expenses. Maybe you're showing minimal. Yeah, you might pay a little bit more in tax, but very likely you're going to qualify for a higher loan in comparison to taking every single deduction that smells like a deduction.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. What other tips you can, like I said, from your experience, you guys, it sounds like you guys did like a few of those most recently. What kind of challenges, or let's ask it differently, what are the most common challenges you came across with, or let's say for the first time, applicant or whatever, common mistakes, let's say, or what have you?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is making sure you know how to apply. There's a different way to apply. So really the biggest thing is people really thinking that this is like almost too good to be true, or thinking that this is overwhelming and not applying. That's been really the saddest thing that we've seen. But for the majority of people who've applied, they've received some sort of ongoing update, like, hey, we need this, or hey, tell me about this. They're getting communication from the banks. The communication might not be as fast as you'd like it, but the banks are at least communicating with you. So just getting the application in, it's so easy. Don't miss out on this. It's free money that's available. So the biggest thing is understanding how to apply. If you're applying without a legal entity in place, it's off of your 2019 net profit. So what is your net profit in 2019? Don't worry about payroll, because payroll doesn't apply to you. What's your net profit for 2019? Now, if you have a legal entity in place, very likely you have employees, okay? What does payroll look like in 2019? What did payroll look like? If you're someone who is not filing payroll, okay, that's not a problem. That's not a big, you're essentially getting a tax benefit by operating that way. So, sure, you're not going to necessarily have PPP money that you're qualifying for, but you're saving a lot in taxes that otherwise would be owed. If you do have employees and payroll's filed every quarter, what did you pay in payroll in 2019? What's that total number look like? That's what they're going off of. They're going off of payroll. They're not going off of net profit, so don't even worry about your net profit.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you structured? No entities, that's what they're going off of, profit. If you have an entity in place, they're going off of payroll. So applying correctly has been the biggest reason why people are getting rejected. They're applying incorrectly. But for the most people, once they find the bank to apply to, it's been a pretty straightforward process. Cabbage, I have one client that applied within Cabbage. She's used to be a KW researcher, but she went to another branch, but she's still a client of ours. She literally applied through Cabbage on last Monday. Last Monday, she applied on Cabbage, and by Wednesday, last Wednesday, a couple of days, she got funding for exactly how much she should have qualified. So these online financial tech firms, they're really, really, really fast compared to a Bank of America, where Bank of America has been taking about 4 weeks. Chase Bank has been the fastest. They take about 2 to 3 weeks. And then Wells Fargo, they've been lagging. Wells Fargo has been really lagging. And then there's the opportunity to go through a local bank, a local credit union. They have been very helpful too. So, if you're looking for a personal approach for someone to walk you through it, look up 15 local credit unions and call each one and say, hey, I made some money in 2019. I want to come in and I want to do a Zoom or something. They'll have people to help you, but the bigger banks aren't going to are going to be able to give you that personal approach. So apply, you guys. Don't miss out on this opportunity when there's still $110 billion available, a ton of money, and applications are slowing down significantly, which means that the majority of people who knew about this have gotten in on it. So all you people that have been waiting, or for whatever reason, they're waiting for you at this point.
Yeah, and that's a great tip, by the way. And it sounds like, number one, every entity gets a certain amount of money as well that they can distribute or what have you. But it also sounds like they became more efficient with the process. So they, like you mentioned, they just they're ready to just get rid of the money fast and right away if you have the basic information. So that's good. If a solo agent, once again, like net income, not a W-2 agent, can they add to their net income other resources like rental income or what have you? From a side
No,
business?
they're not looking at the passive income sources. They're trying to replace. So they're replacing your business income, which is essentially your paycheck. That's what they're trying to replace. They're not replacing any passive income sources, unfortunately. So they're looking at your main day-to-day business income. That's what they're looking at, and they're trying to replace 2.5 months of that in terms of giving you capital to replace paying yourself and also paying some of your business expenses.
Got it. Okay, so it's pretty much your commission checks,
right,
income.
Right. Commission income. And then happy to answer some more questions, and I will get into some updates on the forgiveness. I don't have a PDF for it, but there are some great updates for people. So,
go for it, please.
Okay, so we'll go for it right now. Okay, cool. So they've already announced. Excuse me, real set. They have announced that if you're a solo agent, no legal entity in place. Again, we're going off of your net profit. So let's assume you followed my example and you applied and you qualified for. I'm just throwing a number out. You qualified for $10,000. They've already announced that 75% of that you can transfer to yourself. That's your personal money, and it's automatically forgiven. So without having to really do anything in terms of documenting, 75% of that loan package they're giving you is going to be forgiven. So
I just jumped on a call. I gotta go.
It's literally the definition of free money. Apply, get approved, get funded. 75% of it yours. Thank you, bank, and thank you, Stimulus Act. Okay, the remaining 25%. That's what they're going to really look at. How did you spend that remaining 25%? You need to spend it only on additional payroll costs? That does additional payroll. So whatever extra payroll you have, they're going to look at additional payroll costs, business rent, and business utilities. And business utilities includes your cell phone. So those have to be business dedicated expenses. They're not, right as it's set up right now, they're not including any home office aspects. So if you have a home office, you can't use this additional money to pay a portion of your personal rent that you use for a home office. They're not allowing that, unfortunately, as it's set up right now. But as it's set up, the first 75% forgiven if you're a solo agent. And then those of you who have legal entities and you're getting funded, there's a lot of great ways to potentially increase your pay or that's been the biggest way. You could potentially increase your pay, take 100% of the loan, and then it would also meet forgiveness. But if you have a legal entity in place and there's more people on staff outside of yourself, and even if you are the only person, I would really talk with an accountant that's been following this. You need to bring in an accountant because it's getting very, very complicated, especially if you have employees on staff. It's getting very, very complicated to figure out how much would be forgiven because they're going to compare payroll before COVID, after COVID. You can't have reductions in payroll. You have to attempt to bring your employees back. If you try to bring your employees back and they say they don't want to come back because they're making more in unemployment than they were working for you, you have to document that. You have to document fire. It's very complicated, lots of calculations. I probably should start doing seminars in the next couple of weeks on setting yourself up for success if you have a legal entity in place. But for the majority of people who are solo agents, day-to-day solopreneurs, 75% of your loan automatically will be forgiven, which is awesome.
Yeah. So what about the other 25%? I mean, is that something that they have to return? In what time frame? And what the percentage? Was that the 1% rate or so?
Yeah. So the way it works is right now, as it stands, you have until June 30th to spend the money. So that's in 7 weeks. So there's a problem there because technically you're supposed to have a minimum of 8 weeks. So if you just applied today and got funded tomorrow, you don't even have 8 weeks to spend the money. And there's still $110 billion left to go out. So someone who uses Bank of America where they're taking a month to fund, someone's going to apply today and not even see money until, June 11th. So they're going to have like 2 weeks to spend the money. So they're talking about extending that deadline, Meny and Jennifer, to September 30th. That's what it's really looking like. They're going to extend it to September 30th. They're also talking about just pushing it to the end of the year. You have the rest of the year to spend the money. So they're making some changes right now, but as it stands, you only have 8 weeks or June 30th, whatever comes first, to spend the money until they announce that additional deadline extension. And the way the game is going to work in terms of the forgiveness is you're going to get the money June 30th or September 30th, whatever deadline they announce for when you have to spend the money. You have 90 days to apply for forgiveness. You have 90 days. There's going to be an application process within the bank to apply for forgiveness. So don't think that, you get the money and you spend it correctly and you're good to go. Remember that there's going to be another application process where you're going to apply for the forgiveness of the loan. So they're going to give everyone 90 days from that deadline, 3 months. And then once you apply, you should hear a decision from your bank. You should hear, is what they say. You should hear a decision from your bank within 60 days. So what it is looking like is it's looking like they're going to have a uniform forgiveness application. And they're really the kind of the union of CPAs that we kind of all govern under. They're really preparing us, and they've also made a recommendation to the IRS, have a uniform forgiveness application and give employers or solo contractors, give them some sort of credit or deduction to pay an accountant to do it for them. That's what it's looking like it's going to happen, because just imagine the chaos of 90 days for millions upon millions of business owners to file for applications, and probably half of them will be done correctly, half of them will be done incorrectly. Just imagine the chaos of 90 days for millions of business owners to file tax returns. If we can get it all uniform and have accountants do it, well, we're really good at filing hundreds of things, and we're really good at that. We have until April 15th typically, which is only 115 days to file millions upon millions of tax returns. So that's what it's looking like for the forgiveness aspects. They're trying to get something uniform. There's a couple of senators in some flyover states. They're really pushing, and it's gaining a lot of traction, that anyone that received a PPP loan or any type of government assistance below $100,000, just automatic forgiveness. That's something that's being talked. I think that's really fair. I think that's really good. But For now, the big thing is apply. Get that application in so that way you're in line. And then, there's so many resources coming out now from YouTube and Instagram of a lot of us CPAs that are really being proactive here. We're giving all the same information. You can find that information on YouTube or Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. For some of our offices or people that have already received it, what I think that we'll do later on with the group is to show them how you should track it, etc. So like, for example, I've sent out an Excel spreadsheet to put in all your numbers just so we can help everyone after the fact. But definitely right now you should apply if you haven't already.
Yeah. You're going to regret missing out on free money. Well, we can worry about the application for forgiveness and the calculations and all those spreadsheets. Let's worry about all that once you get the money. Get your fair share of the money first, and otherwise it's going to go to someone else. I did hear you guys when I jumped in talking about the EIDL. Can I just touch on that real fast?
Please, yes.
Okay, so there's the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And understand that this has been around within the SBA for a long time. This is meant for, a restaurant where their kitchen burns down and it's going to cost $300,000 to fix the kitchen, and insurance only covers $250,000. So you would be able to, in that situation, go to the SBA, and the SBA has this Economic Injury Disaster Loan within the banks where it's set up for you to apply for the additional money that you need to keep your business afloat, back up and running. So COVID hits, and this has gotten a lot of attention now. Now this is very popular. With the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and they advertise this as up to $10,000 really just for applying. What that essentially was, for the most part, is it was an advance of the PPP loan for the most part. So how it was supposed to be set up is, hey, everyone's running into problems, business owner after business owner. Congress didn't really have anything in place. So they just said, we're working on putting something together. Go apply for the EIDL. Get up to $10,000 as an advance. It was set up to get that money within days. Then once they released the PPP, you were supposed to disclose on that PPP loan application how much money you received in advance from the EIDL. You were supposed to disclose that. But what happened is no one got any money from either up until a couple of weeks ago. So now people are getting money from the EIDL and they're getting money from the PPP. So understand that PPP loan number, that total amount that you received, that's what's going to be forgiven. So for example, let's say I qualified for the full $10,000 for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and I got that $10,000. And then PPP has approved me for $30,000. Well, essentially what's happened is you've gotten $30,000 from the PPP loan, and you got another $10,000 from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan from the SBA. So you got a total of $40,000. $40,000 is not going to be forgiven. Only $30,000, the PPP loan amount, will be forgiven. So you're not going to get the full $40,000 forgiven. A portion of that money is going to be converted to a loan. So the EIDL was essentially in advance of your PPP loan. So understand that you're not going to be able to get both of those forgiven. Just the PPP loan portion, however that much was, that's what's going to be forgiven. So if you're if you've already received Economic Injury Disaster Loan money and you're in the process of getting funding, as soon as that PPP, I wouldn't say anything to the bank right now. But once the bank funds your PPP, I would let the bank know, hey, I've already received this much from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. I already got this advance. I would just give that money back if I were you. Or if you need the cash flow, you can keep it. And in terms of the loan, we're talking about a 1% interest loan over 2 years, which is next to nothing, with 6 months of deferment as well. So if you need the cash, or not 100% of your money is converted, if 100% of your money isn't converted to forgiveness and a portion of it is still left on as debt, it's next to nothing, low interest debt. Great opportunity to refinance high interest debt if needed.
Good point, good overview, and I'm just looking for any other questions. So another question related to what you said, back to the solo agents versus someone who's incorporated, right? And it's back to your classes from the last 2 years. You keep bringing you to the to our offices to teach, how to get incorporated, LLC, S corp, etc. That helps in that sense as a professional. But as the solo agent that go net income, can they incorporate, once again, all those expenses that they have as part of it, like mileage or marketing or other things on the P&L?
Yeah, KW should just put together some sort of and I'm sure you guys might have that. Do you guys any type of generic P&L for realtors? Does any of that exist within your offices?
Yeah, it exists with the MREA.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many years
Yeah.
now.
I would pull that up, and I would account for anything that you spend money on for your business. I would account for that. I would just be very conservative. I wouldn't. This is the year where you don't want to show $10,000 to meals and entertainment. That was prior years. This year, how much did I really spend on meals? Minimize that number, because very likely, the higher the net income number you show, the more money you're gonna very likely pay more in tax. But very likely the money that you're going to take home from the PPP loan, especially if it's forgiven, you're going to come out ahead there. I wouldn't really do anything with, retroactive corporations. The whole corporation stuff, that will really come into play. Look at your situation. Are you making money? If you're making around $100,000 a year this year or projected to make $100,000, look into that S corporation. It's the holy grail. Ton of money to be saved there. And like Meny said, I'm out on the road doing about 80 of these, mainly through Keller Williams offices on educational seminars. So, follow us on Instagram or reach out and figure out when that next seminar. What are they saying in terms of having classes again now that stuff's kind of starting to open up within the offices?
Well, we're going to keep doing everything virtually through phase 1, which is month of May. And we are looking to hear what's new, because the stay-at-home order was extended in Ventura County, for example, and now they're talking maybe it's going to be extended in city of LA or county of LA. I'm not sure. I didn't get any confirmation, but we'll see. I mean, we're hoping for the best, naturally, and we're going to keep educating our people through those channels, virtually, remotely, or whatever. That won't change anytime soon. And thank you, by the way, Richard Daskem. He just shared on the both platforms. I also dropped a copy on our KW Shares group, the MREA chart of accounts. So look into that. Talking about Excel sheets. Louie, another question, just a couple of questions that I see people typing all throughout is, what if someone applied for the EIDL only, didn't apply for the PPP, did not get the EIDL?
Okay.
Should they go?
Yeah. So the EIDL, it's up to $10,000, but in order to get that full $10,000, you have to have 10 employees or contractors that you're paying on a month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter basis. So, if you're someone who's just like a solo agent and you're really the only person that's on staff, you're building your business and you're the only real employee or person that's part of your business, you're only going to qualify for $1,000. So it's advertised with the EIDL up to $10,000, but you have to have 10 employees or contractors on payroll month to month in order to get that full 10 grand. The majority of people that have gotten funded from EIDL, it's only been $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. I've seen very few people get the full 10 grand. But the PPP loan, now we're talking about potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on your net profit for 2019 and depending on how much, or if you have a legality, how much you have on payroll. So the PPP loan is really where you want to get the application, because that's where you're qualifying for a lot of money. The EIDL, that's like pennies.
So for someone who's a solo agent and expecting, let's say, that $1,000, but didn't get it yet, and it's been over a month now, do you recommend to them to go and apply for the PPP?
Yeah. So you got what's happening if you look at the past couple of stimulus. So like this last stimulus that just passed, the second round of PPP loans, there was $310 billion allocated to the PPP loan, and I think they just put in for the EIDL refunding, I think they barely put in 20 or 30 billion dollars. So PPP got 310 billion, and the EIDL through the SBA only got 20 or 30 billion. And Jennifer, I believe you said that only agricultural businesses can even apply now. So really,
Correct.
the EIDL, I would really, that's the government basically telling you, agriculture only apply here. Everyone else go to the PPP. So, PPP loan, a bigger pool. There's still $110 billion where the bank just wants to give it to you at this point. They want the debt on their books because now they've acquired you as a client. So the PPP loan is where all the money and all the funds at. That's what you want to go apply for. So if you haven't applied for the PPP loan, as soon as we're off this call, does your bank that you bank with take PPP loan applications still? If they don't, now it's time to find a bank that will take my application, or some sort of online financial business like a Cabbage or a PayPal or a Lendera, all these online financial services that exist. Do whatever you can. If you need to elbow people or run or jump, whatever you need to do to get your application in, get it in. And then the Democrats just released another $3 trillion plan that they want to use. You guys hear me? Getting a little bit of feedback.
Yeah. You're good.
Democrats just released a $3 trillion next package that they want to do, and they're going to refund the PPP loan by another $150 billion. So they're very likely, even if you don't get money this round, very likely there's going to be additional funding going into this.
Yeah, and whoever is asking, if you applied in the past and you didn't get the money yet from EIDL, or you applied for PPP and it's been over a month or whatever, apply again. Some entities been applying for, I don't know, like 10 lenders at the same time just to get it. But because they're not going to give you the money twice, so don't you worry about that. They're going to give you the money only once, but you just have to find the right resource. And I think, between Jen and Louie over here, you guys mentioned a few resources, and start, like Louie mentioned, start with your own bank, right?
Yeah, start with your own bank. To answer, to touch on what you just said too, if you put multiple applications in, that's actually a great move to do, because for your tax ID, for your either your social security number or your entity's tax ID, the SBA is only going to approve one. So what happened for one of our clients, they hadn't heard anything from Wells Fargo, so they went and applied through PayPal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Their PayPal loan got rejected because they found out that Wells Fargo's application just got approved. So they actually got an update by applying multiple ways. They found out that one of their applications went through, so everything else got rejected. So, and then within a week or so, they actually got the money. So apply to as many places as possible is what I would do.
Yeah, and is there a reliable source, Louie, that agents that we can look up to see what kind of entities are, we know that smaller, like even credit unions, like our friends in Connecta, credit union, they open up and stuff like that. But is there a list somewhere that we can find and share with agents that they can go and, or
that's a great question. I don't have that many, but I'm sure that might exist. But I'm hearing people getting funded from banks in Idaho, Texas. There's also there's something called Fundera. One of the brokers down here brought it to my attention. Fundera is essentially a facilitator of loans. So you apply through Fundera, and then they're going to look for a bank that would take your application and get you in touch with that bank. So that's a pretty interesting business. So I'm pretty sure they get compensated through some sort of referral fee or broker fee that they get. So they're eager to get you in touch with the bank that's taking applications. PayPal has been a really good one. We've had a lot of people get acceptances through PayPal quickly. And then also PayPal has been a good resource for the example I used before, where if you have another application, because PayPal has been so fast, they'll notify you if it's been rejected because another application is making progress. Sure. Cabbage literally had a client that application on Monday, funding by Wednesday. I'm not joking you, through Cabbage. That's it's Cabbage with a K, however you spell it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kabbage. That one I've heard as well great things about.
Local credit unions, I have one of my fraternity brothers from college that he's in underwriting through credit unions, a credit union in Orange County. And we're just referring people to him because they're looking for the clients. They're happy to take on the clients. So local credit unions are great. Farmers and merchants has been really good for nonprofits that are looking for fast money. Farmers and merchants are doing a really good job. So if your bank is telling you no, okay, no problem. Well, now I have to look. That's your first choice. Look at your bank that you have now. If they're not taking your application, there's alternatives that you can look into. Even QuickBooks is taking loans. All you have to do is set up some sort of QuickBooks online account with them for $15 a month, and they'll process your application.
Good tips. Yeah, this is good stuff. So as you heard, just take hang up the call right now if you're watching and start to work on the application, or in a couple of minutes, same thing. Just walk you through and see what it can do, because it is important to take care of yourself. And we don't really know. Even if you're gonna remove the order on time, which is gonna be this coming Friday, and back to business on Monday, it's not gonna be go back to normal right away, right? So
Right.
you have to be smart about it. Louie, anything else you want to share that we didn't cover? Great updates, by the way. Thank you.
Probably the biggest thing that is a big no-no in all of this is unemployment. I'm not 100% sure how the unemployment process works. Unemployment was never available to realtors up until COVID. So it's a new system in place. Understand, though, that you can't get unemployment and also get funded from the PPP loan at the same time. So what I mean by that is, if you've been successful at fighting for unemployment and you're still waiting for your PPP loan, you're okay right now. But as soon as you get funded for that PPP loan, you need to pull the plug on unemployment. So if you're pulling out from unemployment and also getting funded from PPP at the same time, you're going to run into two problems. You're going to run into potential unemployment fraud, and you're going to run into problems with your PPP loan not being forgiven if you're double dipping like that. So just be careful with the double dipping. But there's nothing wrong with getting unemployment up until the day I get funded from my PPP loan. There's nothing wrong with that. You just can't get both at the same time. That's probably the biggest. People just aren't aware of it, but that's just the biggest thing that we're seeing with our clients actually as well.
That's a great tip. So thank you for sharing that too. Let me see. Yeah.
Great questions coming in, and then we're recording this too, so this will be a great resource for people.
Yeah, and we are going to share this as well. So and if you just joined the session, so just please be patient and go back and watch the recording, because Louie showed a lot of good stuff over here. And one more question, what's more beneficial, unemployment or PPP? I guess it really depends on your, how much potential you can get from each one. So how would you answer that, Louie?
You can get they're supplementing unemployment. So not only can you get state unemployment, you can also get federal unemployment, and it's like almost, I think the maximum is like $1,200 a week, which is a good chunk of change. What you need to understand is that your PPP loan is that amount of money that you get is not taxable, and you're going to get that money up front in one deposit. In relation to your potentially $1,200, so let's say I get a PPP loan for $15,000. That's going to be not taxable, and I don't have to wait 15 weeks to get the full $15,000. I get the money up front. Mm-hmm. With unemployment, remember that your unemployment proceeds, while it might, that's available, remember though that your unemployment insurance that you get is taxable income. So what I would do is if I'm receiving unemployment now, great. I would be riding that wave as long as possible. Once I get PPP, go with that. Get my PPP loan money, which is probably going to be somewhere, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, or whatever that is for your situation. Then once I exhaust my PPP money, then I would go back on unemployment. That's the strategy that I would utilize.
Yeah. Good stuff. Jennifer, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. Thank you, Louie.
Yeah, very happy to do this, you guys. We're doing about 5. It's my third one a day, actually, if you guys can't tell.
Yeah.
trying to do at least one a day. If it's not within a branch or a local chamber of commerce, doing something like on Instagram Live. So really taking a real proactive approach to this, and maybe we can do another one in a week or two, and start talking about preparing for the forgiveness. I think that's something that's going to be really good. It's just a matter of me putting together that PDF.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah,
well,
so
Louie, you're doing a great job.
you got to just tell your people, hey, you know what? Just apply to the bank. Don't even ask me any questions. Don't even call an accountant. Just go and apply.
Right.
Get that application in. It's unbelievable. I had one client call in. She has Bank of America. She's like, oh, I'm just so nervous. I hate paperwork. And I'm like, I'm gonna stay on the phone with you for the next 5 minutes, and we're gonna be done in 5 minutes. And it's literally, what was your what was your payroll? Okay, well, we sent you your payroll stuff. You have it. Upload it. It was so easy. It's so easy.
Amazing. Okay, Louie, thank you so much, my friend. Much appreciated. Words of wisdom and a great experience. And I everybody will appreciates what you're doing for us. So thank you for your time again.
Had a lot of fun, guys. We'll be in touch.
Okay, Louie, thank you. Stay safe. Jennifer, thank you as well. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. And we're going to send me a text if you want a copy of this recording. And it's going to be also recorded on KW Shares. So thank you and stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.